She was on tour with me. She was on tour with me because I'd always preferred long distance, and I'd finally grown wise enough to never trust my preferences. Driving to a show one day, we realized the venue where I'd be performing was only 30 minutes from her parents' home. I hadn't met them yet. I wasn't sure I ever would, when out of nowhere they called and asked her to add them to the guest list. One tear sprinted down her cheek like it was running to a mailbox to open a letter it had been waiting for 700 years. As for me, I vomited in my mouth and then swallowed it like a champ. It had been decades since she came out. 2 decades since her heart was something they had sincerely asked about. She grew up in the rural South, 5 sisters and no telephone. Her father would have to sprint down the road to her grandpa's house to take a call about a job. Before hearing that, I hadn't known it was possible to work in oil and gas and not be rich. Imagined him breaking his back on an oil rig in the Gulf Coast, but really didn't have a clue what he actually did. She didn't have a clue what inspired them to want to come. But I suspected they'd heard the word poetry and thought, that's gay in a good way. Thought Walt Whitman, with his cock, still respectfully in the closet, stanzaing about a shaft of summer grass, longing for only dogwood trees and lily pads. What I was certain of was they weren't coming because they'd heard I'd ended my last show with a poem about how churchyard sales are secretly the best places to buy dildos. Right before showtime, she ran into the green room to tell me they'd arrived. Her smile a jump rope stretched from one side of the room to the other, her breath leaping up and down in a giddy celebration of they're here, they're actually here. The 2 of us, like a team in a huddle right before the most important game of our queer lives, when a group walked in with a flyer for a protest asking me to announce the details on the mic. It was a protest organized urgently to stop fracking in the state. Yes, of course, I said, tucking the flyer into a pocket with my set list, then saw the jump rope of my girlfriend's smile drop. What's wrong? I asked. Honey, fracking is why my dad has a job, she said. What? I can't not announce the protest, I told her. I know, she said. It would be a crime against my conscience. She said, I know. Her heart big as the Titanic, sinking to the bottom of the sea. When I stepped on stage, her father was the first person I spotted. He was impossible to miss. A lumberjack in a forest of asymmetrical haircuts that looked even more asymmetrical next to her parents' straight backs, straight as telephone poles, and me, desperate for lines that could reach them. Resting the flyer for the protest at my feet so I could announce it near the end. I told myself, if you're going to be anything in the world tonight, Andrea, you better be lightning. You better find something in you honest enough to strike them. For 75 minutes, I spoke about nothing but love. How everything but I love you is small talk. How their daughter was the only person in the world sweet enough to always call me honey. How the first time we shared a bed, she laid down with her arms tight at her side like a mummy, so terrified she was to love something and lose it again. When the show was near its end, I looked down at the flyer and back at them. I'd say the moment lasted a lifetime, but no one lives that long. I could see the protest organizers and the audience waiting. I could see their faith in my politics and what they were sure was about to march from my lips. Well, I remember the one tear that raced down my girlfriend's face, one tear with guts enough to hope, the look in her eye when she ran into the green room, belting, they're here, they're here, they're here. I walked off stage without saying a word against drilling the heart out of the earth. I walked up to the green room, a hypocrite, a failed activist with my face on my hands on the couch when her father burst through the door, his head nearly axing a hole through the ceiling, tears like a giant's tears covering his face. I'm 76 years old, he said, and I just tonight figured out what love is. There is no moral of the story. There is only light and sadness. There is no moral of this story. It's just a moment in my life where I did something wrong. And the earth, who has never not known what love is, held me anyway.